I couldn't believe my eyes. There she was, Karen, standing in my driveway, smashing my mailbox to pieces with a metal baseball bat. The wooden post splintered as she struck again, her face twisted in smug satisfaction. Thunk! Crack! The door of my mailbox flew off, landing on the pavement. She wasn't even trying to be sneaky. She knew I was watching. My fists clenched as I recorded everything with my phone. She turned, flipping her messy blonde bob over her shoulder, and sneered. Oh, boo-hoo. You think anyone cares? Try reporting me. I dare you. My heart pounded. I had already reported her twice. And both times, nothing happened. But this time? Oh, this time was different. Because Karen had no idea what she had just started. It all began when I moved into my new house, a peaceful neighborhood, or so I thought. My old place had been a cramped apartment with paper-thin walls, so buying my first house was a huge deal. It was supposed to be a fresh start. Then I met Karen. She was my next-door neighbor, and within 3 hours of me unloading boxes, she had already marched onto my property to give me the rules. Just so you know, she said, tapping her acrylic nails against my mailbox, this street has standards. We don't do ugly decorations, messy lawns, or trashy-looking mailboxes. I blinked. My mailbox was brand new. Black, sleek, modern. Perfectly fine. Karen, on the other hand, had a rusty old mailbox with peeling paint. Okay. I replied, confused. She folded her arms. I'm serious. I've lived here for 15 years. If I see anything inappropriate, I'll handle it myself. I laughed awkwardly. Right. Well, thanks for the warning. She squinted at me, like she was waiting for me to agree with her nonsense. Why didn't? She huffed and stormed off. I should have known then. That was her first warning. One morning, about a week later, I walked outside with my coffee and stopped cold. My mailbox was covered in bright pink spray paint, not just random graffiti. Oh no, Karen had scrawled "ugly box" across the front in huge, messy letters. My blood boiled. I stormed over to her house, knocking hard. She opened the door with a sickly sweet smile. Oh, hey, neighbor. Something wrong. I pointed. You did this. She gasped dramatically, placing a hand on her chest. Me? Oh, sweetie, why would I do that? Maybe someone else agrees with me. I knew she was lying, but without proof, what could I do? I scrubbed the paint off and installed a small security camera near my porch. Karen had made a huge mistake. It didn't take long for her to strike again. 3 nights later, I heard a metallic clang outside. I grabbed my phone, heart racing, and checked the live security feed. And there she was, Karen, holding a hammer, denting the side of my mailbox. I burst out the front door. Hey, she shrieked, dropping the hammer, then ran back to her house like a guilty child. I called the cops. Finally, I had video proof. This time, she couldn't deny it. But when the officers arrived, she pulled the ultimate Karen move. She started crying. He's harassing me, she sobbed, pointing at me. He's trying to frame me. He moved in just to make my life miserable. I couldn't believe it. The cops looked at my footage and shook their heads. They gave her a warning, but that was it. Karen smirked at me as they left. She thought she had won. That's when I made a decision. I was going to teach her a lesson she'd never forget. And now, here she was standing in my driveway, destroying my mailbox in broad daylight. But this time, I was ready. I didn't just have my phone recording. I had multiple hidden cameras around my house. High definition, crystal clear, unbreakable evidence. And I wasn't calling the cops. No, I had a much, much better plan. Karen was still standing there, bat in hand, grinning like she had just won the lottery. My mailbox lay in shattered pieces on the ground. Its remains scattered like she had just finished a home run derby. I didn't move. I didn't shout. I just kept recording. And that's when she made her next big mistake. She stomped over to my porch, her flip-flops smacking against the pavement. Hope you got the message, neighbor, she sneered. Maybe now you'll put up a mailbox that actually fits in with the neighborhood. I stayed silent, just holding up my phone, letting the red recording dot glare back at her. Her smirk faltered. What? She snapped. I turned my phone so she could see the screen. The crystal-clear video of her wrecking my property. Karen froze. Her eyes darted back and forth between me and the footage. Why, you better delete that, she stammered. That's harassment. You can't just record people. I raise an eyebrow. Oh, but I can. She took a step back. If you send that to the police, you'll regret it. I smiled. Oh, Karen, I'm not calling the cops this time. Her eyes widened. What do you mean? I didn't answer. I just walked back inside, calmly shutting my door behind me. She stood there, shifting nervously before stomping off like an angry toddler. But Karen didn't realize I'd already put my plan in motion. Karen wasn't just a terrible neighbor. She was obsessed with her image. She bragged about being part of the Neighborhood Beautification Committee, which was really just a fancy way of saying she liked to gossip and boss people around. She wanted everyone to see her as a model citizen. So, I made sure everyone saw what she had done. That same night, I uploaded the security footage to our neighborhood Facebook group. I didn't add any captions, no dramatic storytelling, just the raw footage of Karen smashing my mailbox. And then, I waited. By morning, the post had exploded. Hundreds of comments. Wait, Karen did this? The same Karen who told me my porch flowers were too colorful? She had the nerve to tell me my garden gnome was tacky, but she's out here committing felonies? This is a crime. Call the police. The best part? The HOA president saw it, and she was furious. I got a message from her directly. I'm so sorry you had to deal with this. I had no idea Karen was acting like this. Please file a police report immediately. We will be addressing this at the next HOA meeting. Oh, I was going to do a lot more than that. I walked into the police station that afternoon with my phone, the undeniable video evidence, and a printout of every previous complaint I had made about Karen. The officer watched the video, sighed, and shook his head. Yep, that's criminal damage to property. She's going to regret this. He started filling out a report. Karen wasn't getting a warning this time. I was sitting on my porch, sipping a cup of coffee, when I saw 2 police cars pull up in front of Karen's house. She ran outside, waving her hands like a maniac. What? You got to be kidding me. This is harassment. I didn't do anything. The officer showed her the footage on his tablet. Karen's face drained of color. Why you can't? That's fake. It's edited. The officer just sighed. Ma'am, you're under arrest for vandalism and destruction of property. And that's when Karen made the dumbest move of all. She tried to run. She bolted toward her house, but the officers were faster. Within seconds, they had her in cuffs, screaming her head off as they dragged her to the squad car. Her final words, before they shut the door, "You'll regret this. I'll make sure you pay." I just smiled and took a sip of my coffee. Oh, Karen, you have no idea. If I thought Karen getting arrested would be the end of it, I was dead wrong. Because less than 24 hours after she got booked, she was back. I had just finished cleaning up what was left of my mailbox when I heard the screech of tires. I turned just in time to see Karen's husband's car pull into her driveway. And there she was, stepping out like nothing had happened. Her face was bright red. Her jaw clenched so tight, I thought her teeth would crack. She slammed the car door, shot me the nastiest glare imaginable, then stormed into her house. She had made bail, and something in my gut told me she wasn't done with me yet. For the next 2 days, Karen was eerily quiet. No glares, no yelling, not even her usual fake-friendly good morning to the neighbors. But I knew better. Karen wasn't the type to let things go. So, I decided to be one step ahead. I upgraded my security system. More cameras, better angles, a brand new mailbox made of reinforced steel. And just for fun, I added a motion-activated alarm that would blast an ear-piercing siren if someone touched it. Let her try something now. It was 3 a.m. when I woke up to a boom. I shot up in bed, my heart pounding. Then another boom. And then the blaring sound of my new security alarm. I grabbed my phone and pulled up the live camera feed. And there she was, Karen, dressed in all black, standing in my driveway with a crowbar in her hands. She was trying to destroy my mailbox again. But this time, the moment she hit the mailbox, the alarm screamed to life. The look on her face was priceless. Her eyes went wide as the siren wailed through the entire neighborhood. Lights started turning on in houses up and down the street. And then, I watched as Karen panicked, tripped over her own feet, and face-planted straight into my lawn. I couldn't stop myself. I burst out laughing. By the time I walked outside, half the neighborhood was watching from their porches. Karen scrambled to her feet, covered in dirt, her eyes wild. "You think this is funny?" she screeched. "You think you can ruin my life?" I held up my phone. "Smile, Karen. You're live streaming." Her face drained of color. She turned to run, but before she could, I heard the most beautiful sound in the world. Police sirens. The same officers from last time pulled up. One officer stepped out, shaking his head. "Ma'am, seriously?" Karen spun around. "Itchy set me up. That mailbox is illegal. It attacked me." The officer sighed. "Ma'am, you're already facing charges. And now you just got caught trespassing and attempting vandalism again." Karen looked at me with pure hatred. "I hope you rot in H." But she didn't get to finish, because the officers slapped handcuffs on her wrists and shoved her into the back of the squad car. For good this time. As they drove off, my neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, shuffled over, shaking her head. "That woman is the reason I put up a fence," she muttered. "Glad to see her finally getting what she deserves." I grinned. Me too. But what I didn't know, Karen wasn't finished with me yet, because her husband was about to get involved, and he was even worse than her. Think Karen was bad? Just wait until you meet her husband. If I thought Karen was the final boss, I was horribly mistaken. Because the real nightmare? Her husband. The morning after Karen got hauled off, again, I was sipping my coffee on the porch, enjoying the Karen-free air, when I heard a sharp knock at my door. I frowned. Too early for the mailman. When I opened the door, there he was. Mr. Karen, or, as the neighborhood knew him, Richard. A tall, bald man in an overpriced suit. Slick back hair, a fake politician smile, and an ego so big I was surprised he fit through my doorway. He adjusted his tie and gave me the kind of grin a snake gives before it bites. "Morning, neighbor." I leaned against the doorframe. "Something I can help you with?" Richard let out a dramatic sigh, like he was a disappointed father. "Look, I think we got off on the wrong foot. My wife, well, she can be passionate about the neighborhood." "Passionate?" I raised an eyebrow. "She vandalized my mailbox. Twice." He chuckled. "Yeah, about that. I'm going to need you to drop the charges." I almost laughed. "I'm sorry." "What?" Richard stepped closer. His fake smile never wavered. "I have powerful friends. Lawyers. You don't want to make an enemy out of me." There was the rich man power move. The thinly veiled threat meant to scare me into submission. But I wasn't scared. I smiled. "Oh, Richard, you have no idea who you're dealing with." His eye twitched. "What's that supposed to mean?" I pulled out my phone, recorded every single word he just said. Then, I called my lawyer, right in front of him. "Hey, Mark," I said, grinning at Richard. "Quick question. What happens if someone tries to intimidate me into dropping criminal charges?" Richard's face turned an ugly shade of red. Mark chuckled on the other end. "That's witness intimidation. Very illegal." I put the call on speaker. "Hear that, Richard?" Richard stiffened. You little." I held up a hand. "Careful, Richard. You wouldn't want to threaten me on record." His jaw clenched so hard I thought his teeth would snap. Without another word, he turned on his heel and stormed back to his car. I watched him speed off, my stomach twisting, because I knew one thing for sure. This wasn't over. That night, I stayed up late, keeping an eye on my security cameras. I had a feeling Richard wasn't the type to give up so easily. And at 2 a.m., I was proven right. A black SUV rolled up to my house. Headlights off, engine barely making a sound. And then, a masked figure stepped out. They crept toward my driveway, holding something in their hands. My stomach dropped. This wasn't just another mailbox attack. They were carrying a can of gasoline. Richard just took things to a whole new level. And trust me, you won't believe how I handle it in. If I wasn't watching my cameras that night, my house could have gone up in flames. Because standing in my driveway with a can of gasoline in hand was a masked figure. And I knew exactly who it was. Richard. I didn't panic. I knew if I made one wrong move, he could set everything on fire before I even had a chance to react. So instead, I grabbed my phone, dialed 911, and as the dispatcher picked up, I whispered, "There's a man in my driveway attempting to commit arson. He has a gas can. I have everything on camera." "Stay inside," she said. "Officers are on their way." But I wasn't just going to sit there. Because Richard? He didn't know that I'd set a trap. See, after the second mailbox attack, I upgraded my security system again. I installed motion-activated floodlights, but not just any floodlights. ultra-bright, police-grade lights. And right as Richard started unscrewing the gas cap, ready to pour it all over my mailbox, boom! The entire yard lit up like a stadium. Richard froze like a deer in headlights. And that's when the real fun started. Not only were my cameras recording everything, but I also had installed a speaker system. So I leaned into my phone and spoke into the mic. "Smile, Richard. You're live." He jumped so hard he dropped the gas can. Then, in pure panic, he tried to run back to his SUV. But guess what? The police were already there. Flashing red and blue lights flooded the street. 2 cop cars blocked Richard's escape. Before he could even make it to his driver's seat, officers tackled him to the ground. "What are you doing?" "I'm a lawyer. I have rights," he screamed. But the cops, they didn't care. Because as soon as they checked my security footage, they had all the proof they needed. Richard was arrested on the spot. Charges? Attempted arson, criminal trespassing, destruction of property, and let's not forget, witness intimidation. As I hauled him off, the cherry on top, his own wife, Karen, came running out of the house in her bathrobe, screaming, "Richard, what did you do?" "Oh, Karen, what did he do? What did you do?" The HOA president was standing on his porch, shaking his head. "You know what? I think it's time we reconsider who we allow in this neighborhood." And that was the beginning of the end for Karen and Richard. But trust me, this story isn't over yet. Because now, I had Karen's full attention. And if you thought she was crazy before, you haven't seen anything yet. Richard got exactly what he deserved. But Karen? She's about to take things to a level no one expected. Stay tuned and comment where you are watching from. With Richard sitting in a jail cell, I thought the worst was over. But Karen? She wasn't done with me. Not even close. Because the next morning, she showed up at my house. And this time, she wasn't alone. At exactly 8 a.m., I heard it. A crowd. Chanting. I opened my front door and saw Karen leading an angry mob of HOA members. Some held signs that read, "No criminals in our community. Remove the troublemaker. Stop destroying our HOA." And right in the front, Karen stood with a megaphone screaming into it. "This man is a threat to our neighborhood. He's been harassing me and my husband. He's the reason Richard is in jail. We demand he be removed from our HOA immediately." I almost laughed. This woman had some nerve. A man in a cheap suit stepped forward. HOA president, "Mr. Denton." "Sir, we've received several complaints about you," he said, clearing his throat. "Karen has presented compelling evidence that you have been targeting her family." I crossed my arms. "Compelling, huh? Let's hear it." Karen grinned like a lunatic. She held up a USB drive and waved it around. "I have video proof that you vandalized your own mailbox. You set my husband up. You're a fraud." The crowd gasped. "Oh, Karen, you just made your final mistake." I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and did something Karen never expected. I streamed everything live, straight to the neighborhood's Facebook group. "Hey, everyone," I said, flipping the camera to Karen. "Say hi to Karen, who just claimed she has video proof that I vandalized my own mailbox." Karen's face went pale. The HOA members looked at each other. Mr. Denton frowned. "Karen, if you have proof, let's see it." She hesitated. "WLI. Show it," I said, stepping forward. "Come on, let's watch it together." The crowd fell silent. And that's when Karen snapped. "You think you're smart?" she shrieked, hurling the USB at my face. I dodged. Then she lunged at me. Hands out, nails ready to scratch my eyes out. And guess what? She did this right in front of the entire neighborhood. The HOA members pulled out their phones. People filmed her meltdown from every angle. Mr. Denton stepped back in horror. "Karen, stop." But she wouldn't. She was so blinded by rage that she didn't notice the police car pulling up behind her. A firm hand grabbed her wrist. Karen froze. Then, the cop spun her around and slapped the cuffs on her. "Ma'am, you're under arrest for assault, harassment, and false accusations." The HOA members gasped. Mr. Denton pinched the bridge of his nose. "Karen, what have you done?" And as Karen was dragged away, screaming, she shouted something that made my blood run cold. "You have no idea what I've hidden. You think this is over. Check your mailbox." The officer shoved her into the squad car. And for the first time in weeks, the neighborhood was silent. But her words echoed in my head. Because Karen, she wasn't just crazy. She had a secret, and it was waiting for me in my mailbox. Karen's gone, but she left something terrifying behind. What did she mean? And what's inside my mailbox? You won't believe what I discover. I stood frozen on my porch. The whole neighborhood was watching. Karen's words rang in my ears. Check your mailbox. For weeks, that mailbox had been her battleground. She'd smashed it, burned it, and sent her lunatic husband after it. And now, she'd left me a message. I had no choice. I had to open it. I stepped forward, heart pounding. The neighborhood was dead silent. Even Mr. Denton, the HOA president, didn't say a word. I gripped the mailbox handle, slowly pulled it open, and inside, a thick, yellow envelope with my name written in red ink. My hands trembled as I reached for it. I flipped it over. No return address. Just 2 words. Good luck. The nightmare revealed. I took a deep breath, ripped the envelope open, and what fell out made my stomach drop. Inside were dozens of photos. Of me, taken from a distance. At the grocery store. Walking into my house. Even through my own windows. And, at the bottom, a handwritten note. You're lucky we were just playing games. Others won't be so kind. You've made enemies you can't even see. Sleep well. R. Richard. Even behind bars, he was taunting me. Or worse, someone else was. A chill ran down my spine. I turned to Mr. Denton and shoved the photos into his hands. This is what your HOA let into the neighborhood. I hissed. His face went ghost white. The other HOA members peeked over his shoulder, gasping as they saw the photos. This is insane, one whispered. Karen knew about this, I said. She wasn't just some unhinged HOA wife. She was hiding something bigger. And now that Richard's gone, she's trying to cover her tracks. Mr. Denton swallowed hard. I need to make some calls, he said, turning away. But I wasn't done. I held up the note, and in front of the entire neighborhood, I read it out loud. Sleep well. Others won't be so kind. The crowd murmured. People shifted uncomfortably. And then, from the back of the group, a woman gasped. I turned. She was clutching her mouth, tears in her eyes, and then she whispered something that made my blood run cold. Richard wasn't acting alone. This isn't just about Karen anymore. Richard was part of something bigger. Who else is involved? And what does it mean for me? The woman's words sent a chill down my spine. Richard wasn't acting alone. The crowd fell silent. Every single person stared at her, including me. What do you mean? I asked, stepping forward. She hesitated, eyes darting around like she was afraid to speak. And then, from across the street, a car engine roared to life. A black SUV peeled out of a driveway, tires screeching. It was parked there the whole time, watching. I only caught a glimpse of the driver. A man, sunglasses, hat pulled low, but he was staring right at me. And then, he floored it. The SUV sped off, vanishing around the corner. The woman gasped. Oh God, she whispered. They know. I turned back to her. Who knows? She clutched my arm. You don't understand, she said. Richard, he was part of a group. A secret one. They control things behind the scenes. He wasn't just an angry HOA husband. He had connections. My stomach tightened. This group, I said. Are they in the HOA? She nodded. Some are, she said. Some aren't. But they're powerful. And now that Karen's gone, they think you are a problem. I glanced at the vanishing SUV. They were watching, I said. She swallowed hard. They always are. Mr. Denton cleared his throat. Wait, he said, rubbing his temples. You're telling me there's some kind of secret group inside my HOA? The woman stared him down. You already knew, she said coldly. Don't pretend. Mr. Denton's face went pale. I stepped up to him. What do you know? I asked. For the first time, Mr. Denton looked nervous. Then he muttered something that made my blood freeze. There are rules in this neighborhood. Rules I don't even control. I clenched my jaw. This wasn't just Karen being crazy. This wasn't just Richard being a violent psycho. This was bigger. And now, I was on their radar. The HOA wasn't just about keeping lawns trimmed and mailboxes uniform. It was about control, power, and the people in charge. They didn't like troublemakers. I was officially a problem. That night, I sat in my living room, staring at the photos Karen left. Someone had been watching me for weeks. But why? What do they want? And then, my phone rang. Unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. Silence. Then, a distorted voice whispered, "Walk away, or you won't wake up." Click. The line went dead. And I sat there, heart pounding, knowing one thing for sure. This was far from over. This HOA is hiding something dangerous. And now they're threatening me. What happens next? You won't believe how deep this goes. The phone call left my hand shaking. Walk away, or you won't wake up. Whoever this was, they weren't bluffing. The HOA wasn't just a bunch of nosy old neighbors. There was something else. Something dangerous. And now, they wanted me gone. I barely slept that night. Every sound outside made me jump. Every car passing by felt like a threat. By morning, I was exhausted. But I knew one thing. I wasn't running. Instead, I went straight to Mr. Denton's house. Bang, bang, bang. I pounded on his door. Seconds later, he opened it. But his face was different. Pale, sweaty, scared. "What do you want?" he asked, voice shaking. I held up my phone. "The call," I said. "Who are they?" Mr. Denton looked around like someone was watching. Then he pulled me inside and locked the door. "You need to leave this alone," he whispered. "They don't mess around." I sat down on his couch. "Tell me everything," I demanded. He hesitated, but finally he sighed. "There's a group," he said. "They've been in control for years. Before I was president. Before Karen even moved in. The HOA is just a front." "A front for what?" I asked. Mr. Denton hesitated. Then he muttered a word that made my blood run cold. "Money. They use the HOA to cover illegal deals," he continued. "Fake fines. Overpriced maintenance. Emergency fees. And where does the money go?" I asked. Mr. Denton looked me dead in the eyes. "To people you don't want to meet." I swallowed hard. Karen and Richard weren't just power-hungry HOA bullies. They were part of something huge. And now that I exposed them, I was in their way. Before I could ask more, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I tapped it open, and my stomach dropped. It was a photo of my house, with a message below it. "Nice place. Be ashamed if something happened to it." My blood ran cold. I shot up from the couch. "I have to go." But as I reached for the door, boom, a car explosion rocked the neighborhood. Through the window, I saw a fireball erupt in my driveway. My car, it was gone. They weren't just threatening me anymore. They were making their move. I turned to Mr. Denton. His face was pale. "Do you get it now?" he whispered. "You can't win." But something felt off. He wasn't surprised. Not at all. And that's when I saw it. A burned envelope on his kitchen table. An HOA payment. Well, I'd seen before. And suddenly, I realized the truth. Mr. Denton wasn't scared of them. He was working for them. Mr. Denton saw the way I was looking at him, and his face changed. Not scared. Cold. "Don't do anything stupid," he said. I stepped back, my mind racing. This entire time, I thought Denton was a coward, but he was a traitor. He wasn't being forced to go along with the HOA's secret group. He was one of them. Outside, my car was still burning. Neighbors stood in their yards, staring. But no one called the cops. No one said a word, because deep down they all knew this neighborhood was owned by something bigger, and I had just become their number one enemy. I had two options. One, run, pack my things, leave everything behind, and pray they don't come after me. Two, fight, find proof, expose them, and risk everything. I thought about the mailbox, the one Karen had smashed again and again. At first, I thought it was just spite, but what if it wasn't? What if it was because of what was inside? I glanced at Mr. Denton. He was watching me, waiting, and I knew. The mailbox was the key. I turned and bolted out the door. Behind me, Denton yelled. I didn't stop. I ran straight to my house, ignoring the heat from my burning car. Then I grabbed a crowbar and smashed my mailbox open. Inside, a hidden compartment. And inside that, files, names, transactions, bank accounts, proof. This wasn't just an HOA scam. It was a full-scale money laundering operation. And I had the evidence to bring them down. A black SUV pulled up fast. The same one from before. The door swung open. Richard stepped out. I froze. He was supposed to be in jail. But now he was here. And he had a gun. You just don't listen, do you? He sneered. Behind him, other cars arrived. People got out. Neighbors. HOA board members. I wasn't just facing one Karen anymore. I was facing the entire HOA. Then sirens. Lots of them. Cops came from every direction. Because before I smashed that mailbox, I sent everything to the feds. Richard spun around, but it was too late. The police swarmed in, guns drawn. Mr. Denton, Richard, every corrupt HOA member. Arrested. It was over. Days later, I stood in front of my house. For the first time in months, it was quiet. No Karen, no Richard, no threats, just peace. The HOA was dissolved. The corruption? Exposed. And my mailbox? Replaced. With a brand new one. One that no Karen would ever touch again. They thought they ran this neighborhood. Now they're in jail. Justice was served. But at what cost? Hit that like button and tell me, what would you have done in my shoes?